Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April 10th meeting of the Memphis and Shelby County Land Use Control Board. My name is Mary Sharp, and I'll be serving as your chairperson today. We will begin this morning's meeting with the roll call. Mr. Ragsdale, would you proceed, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Gill?
Here.
Mr. Norman?
Here.
Ms. O'Connell? Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Wilbanks?
Here.
Mr. Winter?
Here.
Chair Sharp?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. I would like to remind you that copies of today's agenda are located at the front right podium if you need them. If you wish to be a speaker on any case that's on today's agenda, please fill out the attendant speaker card located at the front podiums. Once you have filled out the card, please bring it up front and hand it to one of our DPD staff members located at the left podium. When that agenda item is called, you will be given an opportunity to speak. At this point, I would like to read our conflict of interest statement. The adopted policy of the Land Use Control Board requires that any member of the board recuse himself or herself from any participation in the discussion or voting on any matter on the meeting's agenda in which he or she may have direct or indirect personal interest. The member shall vacate his or her seat during deliberation on any matter from which they have recused themselves. An abstention may substitute for a recusal for the purposes of maintaining a quorum. I would now like to get approval of the minutes from the last meeting. May I please have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All of those in favor is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Ragsdale, may I please get a secretary's report for this month and an explanation of today's procedure?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a report, so I'll go into the procedure. At the beginning of today's meeting, we will establish a consent agenda for those items where no one in the audience or on the board is requesting an individual public hearing. After the consent agenda is established and approved, we will move on to the regular agenda. For each case on the regular agenda, the DPD planner will give a presentation. This will be followed by the applicant's presentation and any testimony from others who support the application. The applicant and supporters will be given a total of 10 minutes. Following each speaker, the chair will ask the board members if they have any questions for that speaker. Next, the opposition will be given a total of 10 minutes to present their case. Following each speaker, the chair will ask the board members if they have any questions for that speaker. Finally, the applicant would then have a 3-minute rebuttal period under the same rules. Following all the presentations and after all parties have been heard, the chair will ask if the board members have any additional questions of anyone who spoke. Then the chair will close the public hearing portion of the case, entertain a motion on the matter, discuss, and then vote on the application. If an applicant or any speaker would like to be heard after the conclusion of the public hearing portion of the case, or if a board member wishes to hear any additional testimony from any party for additional clarification, a motion will need to be made along with a second and then a 2/3 motion. Affirmative vote of the board is required to reopen the public hearing portion of the agenda item. If the public hearing is reopened, both the applicant and the opposition will be allowed an equal amount of time to provide additional testimony. After the additional comments, the board will close the public hearing portion of the case and deliberate on the and take the final vote. Again, if any member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a case, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card. These are available at the front podium. Speaker's cards are not required of applicants since their names are already part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. The board is a supporter of community involvement, and we certainly welcome neighborhood comments and feedback. We are respectful of the fact that many of you have taken off work or adjusted your schedules to be here today, but we ask that your comments please be made within the time frame allowed. If there are multiple speakers, please try not to be repetitive so as to make the most of your side's 10-minute time allotment. Lastly, I'd like to ask you to silence all your cell phones so as not to interrupt or disturb anyone during today's proceeding. With our procedures explained, I would like to introduce to my right Ms. Lisa Wilbanks, who will be this morning's consent agenda chairperson. Ms. Wilbanks will read items 1 through 12 as the consent agenda. Once the consent agenda is read, if you wish to discuss one of those items, individually, please come forward and give us the item number, and we will pull that case. We will then vote on the remaining consent agenda items as one vote, and following the vote, we will hear the cases that were pulled individually. Ms. Wilbanks, would you proceed, please?
Yes, ma'am. Item number 1 has been withdrawn. Item number 2 has been dropped. Item number 3, case PD 2025-001, CO in unincorporated Shelby County. The request is a new plan development to allow an office and storage facility for a medical company located at 0 Forest Hill Irene Road, south of Crestwind Hills Drive. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 4, case S 2024-042 in Raleigh. The request is a 3-lot residential major subdivision located at 3040 James Road. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number 6, case MJR 2025-009 in East Memphis. The request is a major modification to allow a drive-through restaurant located at 7750 Winchester Road. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item number 7 has been dropped. Item number 8, case PD 2025-002 in the Oak Haven Parkway Village area. The request is an amendment to PD 06-349 to add additional land for storage located at 3021 East Shelby Drive. Staff recommendation is hold for 1 month. Item number 9, case S 2025-010 in Westwood. The request is a 3-lot commercial major re-subdivision located at 4696 South 3rd Street. Staff recommendation is approval. Item number 10, case S 2025-012 in the Oak Haven Parkway Village area. The request is a 2-lot commercial major re-subdivision located at 4719 Getwell Road. Staff recommendation is approval. Item number 11, case SAC 2024-010 in North Memphis. The request is a street and alley closure for approximately 1,200 square feet of a paper alley located just east of 610 Henderson Avenue. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. And item number 12, case Z 2025-003 in the Oak Haven Parkway Village area. The request is a rezoning of approximately 15.255 acres from conservation agriculture to employment located at 5433 Malone Road. Staff recommendation is approval. And that is our consent agenda.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilbanks. Anyone now wishing to pull a case from the consent agenda, please come forward and give us the item number. Okay, seeing none, we have pulled item number 5. The items on the consent agenda will now be voted on with one vote, subject to the recommendation of DPD. If the consent agenda is approved, only item number 5 will have full independent public hearing. By voting on the consent agenda, each board member is affirming that he or she has read the staff report and agrees with its findings, and where applicable, its recommended conditions. Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, ma'am. Move to approve item number 3, case PD 2025-001 CO. Item number 4, case S 2024-042. Item number 6, case MJR 2025-009. Item number 8, case PD 2025-002. Item number 9, case S 2025-010. Item number 10, case S 2025-012. Item number 11, case SAC 2024-010. And item number 12, case Z 2025-003.
Thank you, Ms. Wilbanks. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Just have a quick question. On item number 10, I remember that coming before us to have a solar farm put there, and I never heard anything else about it.
Yes, that's correct. So the first one came through for I think a Captain D's, and there was a solar farm behind that. And that is underway. I don't know if it's under construction, but that is moving forward. This is the lot to the north of that, and I think it's proposed for a Wendy's. And so
Wendy's?
A Wendy's.
Okay, because the Captain D's is there.
Correct. It's already built, and the solar
Yeah.
farm, I believe, is moving forward. I don't know if it's under construction. But yes.
So the solar farm will still go there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. We will now go to the regular agenda with Mr. Brown Gill.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Item number 5, S 2025-001, University 2-lot residential major re-subdivision located at 2560 Harvard Avenue.
Okay, Is the applicant present? You can give us your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200.
Thank you, and there is opposition. We will hear the case.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Travian Smith. I'm one of the planners with Planning and Development, and I'm here on behalf representing S2025-001. And just to go through and give you the gist of this presentation in regards to the site, again, it's located at 2560 Harvard Avenue. The request is for a re-subdivision to create 2 single-family lots. And just based off of the conclusions as mentioned on the screen, the proposed lots meet the bulk regulations of a single-family districts, R6 district in particular, and then the proposed lots are inconsistent and in rhythm with the rest of the community. And also, based on the preliminary plan and the site plan, they are incompatible with the rest of the community. And here I'm going to scroll down just to give you an overview. What we have here on page 5 is the final plat of the Binghamton Elementary School that was created back in 2007, which demonstrates that this lot in particular is one lot. Here are the site photos, which demonstrate what the existing conditions of the lot look like. So as you can see, there is a single-family home basically on the lot, and then surrounding that lot on the proposed subdivided land is a fence. And here is the surrounding community based off of street view. And then scrolling further, this is the preliminary plan that was given by the representative and the applicant for this application. And as shown, the proposed lot demonstrates that there will be a 15-foot setback, a 20-foot setback as well. That's very much incompatible with the original single-family home, which is next door, that also has a 20-foot setback. And based on my analysis that was done, it is incompatible with the rest of the community.
Excuse me, I think compatible, it's consistent and compatible.
Consistent.
So yes,
Thank you. Thank you. And then also, just to follow back up, I would like to mention that on page 14, I did provide the site zoning history, which shows, which was pulled from the Register of Deeds, which basically demonstrates how the site was created back in 1918, which was originally 2 lots.
And Trey, can you just zoom in on that, please?
Yes.
I think it'll be a little clearer.
Be mindful of the blurriness as this document is from 1918. And so as you can see, the streets did shift over time based off of the creation of the Binghamton Elementary School, which is now located across the street from the property. And so if you look further on page 19, it does show the average based off of the other existing lots within the neighborhood, which are, again, inconsistent in rhythm, consistent with the rest of the community. And again, our staff recommendation is approval with conditions, with the condition being that the new lot built shall have an entrance that is from the public alley, which is to the rear of the lot. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Board members, do you have any questions of Mr. Smith right now? Okay, hearing none, we're ready for you to make your presentation as the applicant.
Thank you. And you've done a wonderful job. Thank you so much. I know that you're new at all this, and we appreciate you working so hard on this application. As he said, this was originally created by the Bingham School, which you could see on page 5 of your report. In 2007, the school bought those 2 lots in order to realign Princeton. And in order to do that, they took off part of the back of the lot. But it still made it a buildable lot for 2 homes. And we just feel that it's a very good opportunity in order to put another home there. This is not going to be short-term rental. And I just want to go ahead and put that on the record. And I'd like to hear what opposition has to say and save the rest of my time for rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're ready for the opposition. As you come to the microphone, please give us your name and address.
My name is Kelsey Walkley, and I live at 2593 Harvard Avenue, and also own the property at 2556 Harvard Avenue, which is directly next door to this property. I have sent each of you a neighbor report that I put together. I sent that late last night via email, and then he's got some printed copies for you. I'm a nearly 18-year resident of Binghamton, have raised all of our kids there, very active and involved in the community, and very connected to the history of the community. A couple of points I want to raise is that I have direct knowledge that the original land use for this property was intended to be developed as open space around the school. I have seen the architectural drawings from the original architect of record, though I was not able to get a copy of that ahead of this meeting. However, I included on page 2 of this report a rendering that came from an engineering firm that does indeed support the original development intention as open space, protecting this drive that goes into the back entrance of the school and creating a buffer between the school, the traffic pattern, and the surrounding community. I also have direct knowledge from the Binghamton Development Corporation. I spoke to Robert Montague just in the past few weeks to ask what he remembered of the history of this property, both how it came to be entrusted to the Binghamton Development Corporation, and then what happened to it from there. And Robert, I took contemporaneous notes during that conversation, and some things that he said to me related to this property is that the lot was not subdivided for good reason. The shape and size of the lot was not the same as it was before the school development and did not lend itself well as 2 lots. We wanted to prevent over-densifying the property around the school, and we didn't want to compromise on that. He also said that they wanted to sell the lot, which is the Binghamton Development Corporation, to people who would build and maintain a quality home on the land and be a part of the community. I do want to clarify, I don't think there were any ill intentions with this, but both the Register of Deeds and the staff report related to this application make it seem as though the owner address and their residence are the same, and that is not correct. The owners of the property have not lived in the community since 2018, and the property and home have been operated as a short-term rental Airbnb ever since then, which does cause some challenges within the neighborhood. And I spoke to that under my third point, that there have been issues at this location with parties and excess cars on the street, noise and trash. There have also been multiple break-ins at the property during that time, I think due in part to the fact that the property is not consistently occupied by either long-term tenants or homeowners within the community. And the last point that I want to make is something that was really not included in the staff report is the important connection between the school community and between the surrounding neighborhood community. I included some data about Brewster Elementary School. And so this year, 2025 school year, there are 463 students who attend Brewster Elementary School, both students from the surrounding neighborhood and students whose families have chosen that school as the best place for their children to learn. There are also 67 staff members. And so what that means is that every day along the stretch of Harvard Avenue coming from Collins to Princeton and along the stretch that is directly adjacent to this proposed subdivision, you have 530 potential people traveling both in vehicles and pedestrians walking in the neighborhood who need and deserve a safe way to travel to and from the school. In conclusion, I wanted to read the mission of the Memphis and Shelby County Division of Planning and Development. I too want the development in our city to result in thriving, livable neighborhoods, connected communities, enhanced human potential, and safe and efficient buildings. I have not seen evidence that this proposed subdivision offers benefits to the surrounding community other than the individual property owner and their personal enrichment. I believe that over-densifying the land, which was originally intended to be open space, would not make our neighborhood more livable, more connected, more walkable, and it doesn't lead to increased safety for the residents of our community or the residents or the participants in the Brewster Elementary School community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Do you live in 2556 Harvard?
I do not. So we purchased that home in 2021 to renovate for a family member to live in. And we now have long-term tenants who occupy that property.
So
but
it's a long-term rental property for you?
Yes, we have tenant, and the goal is always to have people who will stay as long as they possibly can there.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have the next person in opposition give us your name and address, and then we'll ask all three of y'all questions at the end of this. Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was that I did also email to each of you a slide presentation that included some photos and videos related to the traffic patterns. And I do want to note that in approximately 2018 or 2019, we petitioned the city to install speed humps on both Harvard and Princeton Avenue. And surrounding this school property, that traffic study was completed, it was approved, those speed humps were installed.
Okay, the next two people, you have about 3 minutes each. What are you trying to say? What is he saying? He wanted to ask her a question. Okay, we're gonna come back to the questions. Okay, go ahead, give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jackie Romey. I live at 2545 Princeton Avenue, which is right next to, behind this house that wants to be subdivided. We've lived in this neighborhood since 2017 and built our home on a lot, an odd-sized lot purchased from Bingham Development Corporation. We love our neighborhood and know all the neighbors around us. This is not a normal thing, you know. That's what makes our neighborhood special. My biggest concern is the traffic and parking. The proposed parking is through the alley, which that alley comes right out at the driveway where the school, they go in and out every day. And that's a problem. There is no parking, really, for this lot. At least, I was out there yesterday, and at least 200 cars line up to pick up children every day. And they have to come in and out. You know, we are retired, and we don't have a problem with that. And we love the kids in the neighborhood. I will also speak to the owner not living in this neighborhood anymore. So the awareness of all of this is probably not there anymore because they don't live there. They don't know what our neighborhood how our neighborhood has changed over the years. They don't know a lot of those things. When we built our home, we built our garage to use the curb cut, which is where that alley is. The middle of the curb cut is our property line. Their property, none of it is on that curb cut that they want to use as a driveway. I want to know how this building is going to be facing. Is it going to be facing Princeton? Is it going to be facing Harvard? I just have lots of questions and concerns. And in conclusion, I just want to say our neighborhood deserves neighbors, people who value and live in the community and want to make it a great place to live. We don't need another building that adds to the density of this busy space. And I appreciate you hearing what I have to say. I will say that my husband, he loves this neighborhood too. He cleans the street and he mows the alley. So we just love it there. And I just feel like this is not a good use of the space. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to hear the third person and then get questions so that the 10 minutes can go smoothly. Okay, next. Give us your name and address. And you have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, approximately.
Yeah, I'm Larry Romey, 2545 Princeton Avenue, Memphis. I'll be brief, 2 minutes is ample. I did submit written comments on this subdivision, so maybe you all have gotten a chance to see that. I won't repeat that. What I will say, though, from an engineer standpoint and also from a community standpoint, that I think that across from the school, Kevin and Holly's property is a keystone property. If you just make an imaginary line through this lot, that's not a big deal. So you divide it. But when you build or change it, then the keystone changes, and it probably will never be the same. So if it were buried, it's very conspicuous. If it were buried in the neighborhood, it would be much less visible, but that is a keystone property. What I will say is that when the realignment happened, there were 2 oversized lots that were created by that realignment. So by splitting this, you end up with 2 non-standard, smaller lots, standard lot being 50 by 150. So I oppose this action, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Winters, you had a question of the opposition.
Yes, and I was going to ask this question of the first speaker, but the second speaker actually addressed it as well. There was a note in your report about the traffic pattern of the school and pick up and drop off, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about that and how it impacts Bingham Street, and also there was a reference to the curb cut to the school and alignment with the alley. So I just want to kind of hear about how the neighbors view that traffic pattern as an effect on this property.
So I don't, sent all of you via email some photos, and in that presentation are also some videos that show a typical afternoon along Princeton and Harvard there. It really draws a large number of vehicles and a large number of people to this specific section of the neighborhood multiple times a day throughout the school year. And even beyond that, Brewster Elementary is often host to summer programming, summer school. So it really is almost a year-long high level of activity. And the proposed parking and vehicle entrance for the subdivided property is off of that alley, which is directly across from the rear entrance of the school parking area.
And just to be clear, that rear entry is for the student drop-off? Is that for the?
Yes, that is the student drop-off, pickup, carpool line. That is the place that the students who are walking home in the neighborhood are released from the back. Brewster does an amazing job. They've got somebody out there that directs traffic, but it is a traffic situation. My kids are older and attend schools that are in other locations at this point, but I have to plan ahead and make sure nobody's blocking my driveway so I can get out and get to pick up my kids at their schools as well. So.
Sure, I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions of the opposition before we go back to the applicant? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I got it, but at 11:45 p.m., so I was asleep.
I didn't get it.
You can.
11:45 last night is when I got it.
I've got it up on my iPad if you would like to scroll through.
You want me to send it to you?
Okay, if there's no further questions of the opposition, we're ready for your rebuttal and/or statement.
This lot was purchased from the Binghamton Development Corporation, so we feel that it was meant for development because they sold this lot for development to be able to build houses there. It is a very large lot, and we feel that it is compatible with the neighborhood, and we feel that it will be a good thing for the neighborhood in order to have a new home there. It will not be short-term rental for Lot 2. We've already agreed to that. And he's lived there. He lived there for 4 years. He lived there from 2014 to 2018. So he is very familiar with the neighborhood and very passionate about the neighborhood and has a big investment in it and wants to continue investing in the neighborhood by building a new home that will not be short-term rental. So with that, I will answer any questions that y'all have.
The short-term rental, did you just create a condition that will come along with the lot split? Is that how that was done? Was there a condition?
We don't currently have any condition.
So you're just agreeing to it.
Send it to you.
Here, are we going to codify that at all? Or you're just saying this user is not planning on using this short-term rental?
We can add a condition that Lot 2 shall not be short-term rental. We would be glad to do that.
Okay.
And as far as access from the alley, if that's an issue, we can also access from Princeton. It's strictly up to y'all how you want to do that. We'll be glad to access from Princeton or from the alley, whichever one that y'all choose to allow him to have access from. It is a very long lot, and the existing home has a very large backyard. This house will have a very large backyard. If accessing it from Princeton instead of the alley is more acceptable to the board, that is something that we'll definitely agree to do. So it is a big investment, and he wants to continue investing in the neighborhood because it's for his family. So thank you.
Thank you. We have another question here.
So if the applicant doesn't currently live in the existing house, and if this new lot is not intended for short-term rental, do you mind sharing what then the new lot would be used for?
Yes, it'll be long-term rental. It'll be,
Long-term rental,
yes.
okay. All right, thank you.
It'll be anything over 6 months.
Any further questions from the board to anybody at this time? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting. Can I get a motion?
You may. Motion to approve S 2025-001 University two-lot residential major re-subdivision located at 2560 Harvard Avenue.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion amongst our board members? Any further discussion?
Well, if we do this, I would like to condition the fact that it would be.
I can't hear.
Not.
It will not be a short-term rental, and that however you'd like it on the alleyway.
So you'd like two conditions, one being that access would be on Princeton.
Madam Chair, if I
Also
may,
on Harvard.
we would not recommend that condition. We believe that the proper access is the alley. That's what that's a much better solution. I think, the access from Princeton would be too close to the intersection, it would be a much less safe condition. It's one single-family home that we're talking about accessing the alley. So and I don't know if engineering would even approve that.
Is
But
that alley, it's a utility easement, MLG&W.
I think it's just a paper alley. There may be some utilities, but it was never developed, or if it was, it's definitely not developed now. So there is the curb cut for the one home, but it's a public alley, but it's just a paper alley.
Okay.
in essence. So,
Yeah. So you guys, everybody go with one condition
Yes.
for no short-term rental?
Okay. We're going with the one condition.
that would be for lot 2.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I assume we're ready to vote. We'll vote individually.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Gill,
Yes.
Mr. Norman,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Wilbanks, and Mr. Winter,
Yes.
Chair Sharp,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you.
And Madam Chair, we do have a case that there are people in opposition for that was on the consent agenda. We got the cards after the consent agenda was approved. It is item number 9, and the applicant and opposition they're still here, so it's really up to the board whether or not you would like to consider hearing that, because it was approved, but we did get that late after it was approved, so
Now, is the applicant here?
yes, they are.
What
we would have
is
to
the
make-
mindset of the board as far as number 9 and hearing it? Your choice.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I would be willing to hear it. It's up to the board.
So if there is a consideration, we would need a motion and a second, and then we would need a majority vote or with no objection either way. So do we have a motion?
So do we have a motion to hear number 9?
I will make a motion to hear case number 9.
Okay, do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We have a
Is
motion
there-
and a second to hear number 9. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Any opposition, or is that, okay? All right.
okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. We will hear number 9. Can we bring that before the board?
Absolutely.
Item number 9, S 2025-010 Westwood, 3-lot commercial major re-subdivision located at 4696 South 3rd Street.
Okay, before we hear it, could the applicant come up, please, and give us your name and address?
Yes, I'm Wesley Woodridge with the Renaissance Group, 9700 Village Circle, Lakeland, Tennessee.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear it, and then we'll hear your side and the opposition. We're ready for the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Travian Smith, and again, I'm a planner with the City of Memphis Planning and Development. And today we'll be presenting on S 2025-010, and this address is located at 4696 South 3rd Street. The request for this application is to be a re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Save-A-Lot subdivision to create a .82 anchor Lot 3 on the north end of the lot. The current existing zoning for this lot is CMU 3, also known as Commercial Mixed Use 3. So, according to the application, so right now as it exists, Lot 1 is this, and they're trying to take Lot 1, which is the bulk of the lot, and they would like to split that lot, split the north end of the lot to create Lot 3. Lot 1 will be reduced from 140,322 square feet down to 103,993 square feet. Lot 2 will remain the same. And lastly, Lot 3 will be created on the north end. And the proposed lot meets the regulations of CMU 3 district, and it is compatible and within character of the existing development. And I'm going to scroll further and show you more detail of this lot. So this is the existing lot that is according to that's what's within the plat book, which is on the Shelby County Register of Deeds site. And here's an aerial view of the lot. And if you look at the green space, this is the proposed newly created lot that we're referring to. Here's site photos of the existing conditions on the lot. As you can see, in Lot 1, there is a Save-A-Lot supermarket there. And then Lot 2, which will remain the same, that is a cell tower. So that lot will be remaining the same. And this green space on the north end, that's the proposed Lot 3. Here is the preliminary plan provided by the applicant representative, which is basically displaying the conditions. And as you can see, based on the preliminary plan, Lot 3 will be 35,885 square feet. And also, as shown here, there will be no curb cuts along Shelby Drive and 3rd Street. Although there will be an egress that will be created along Lot 1 to allow vehicle travelers to enter Lot 3. The staff recommends approval with conditions, and any changes or deviation that will be approved by the zoning administrator and submitted to you all for review. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do we have any questions of Mr. Smith at this time?
Again, clarification on no entry point off of 3rd or Shelby Drive?
No, there will be no curb cuts.
Okay, so the curb cut that exists would come across Lot 1 into Lot 3?
Yes, it'll be an ingress egress. So the existing curb cut that's already on 3rd Street to get into the Save-A-Lot, that's what will be used to access Lot 3.
Thank you.
Any further questions of Mr. Smith? Okay, we're ready for the applicant, and give us your statement, please. 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Travian. We were contacted by ECFA LLC out of Houston, Texas. They are the new owners of the Save-A-Lot, and they wanted to just investigate creating a third lot on that subdivision, basically, and have some kind of idea of what to expect to build on that lot. So we created the lot, basically just drew a line there where the access drive goes around Save-A-Lot. It's 0.82 acres, and we prepared 3 different conceptual plans based on the zoning for that lot. We prepared one for like a Starbucks or a small footprint restaurant. We prepared one for quick lube oil change. Actually, we prepared 2 for that, one and then rotated it 90 degrees and prepared another one. And then we prepared a conceptual plan for a fueling center. Once they reviewed these, they looked at it and said, okay, yes, we feel good about it. We want to move forward with the subdivision application and create the subdivision of the new lot. And that's where we are today. I would like to say there's no use specified for this lot. You know, we looked at what could go on there. We also talked about like a dentist office or any kind of small office could fit on there, but we didn't prepare any plans for that. And with that, I'd like to just reserve the rest of my time for rebuttal.
Okay, we're ready for the opposition.
Yeah, question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For the applicant, I have a question. Or maybe it's a statement, but I think it's going to be very hard for us to make a decision on the zoning without knowing what this is going to be. To me, if there is no entrance and exit to this particular lot, I think there's a huge difference between putting an office or, say, storage facility where you don't have a lot of traffic versus like a Starbucks, which you would have tons of traffic. So I think this is going to be very, very hard without having any definitive information on what the lot is going to be used for, specifically because there is no entrance or exit on this particular lot.
I wanted to weigh in and agree 100% with that, and had I known that we would not know, and the variance between the Starbucks and a gas station or oil station is very different, I would have moved to defer this with clarity for the next meeting, because I just don't think we could, we'll spend a lot of time talking about it today.
Well, we're just talking about creating a lot line today, just a lot. We don't have a use.
I couldn't agree with you more, but that lot has to have a purpose. And when we do that, I think what we're going to do is say somewhere between a Starbucks, an oil pit, and a doctor's office, and the variances of that are extremely different.
Well, when it comes back with a site plan, could we not discuss that?
Let's hold on one second. Just wanted to kind of clarify some of the things that do influence what can be used. So, you know, today we are just talking about subdividing a lot that meets the base zoning. Then the zoning does dictate what the use is. I will say that I think it would be almost impossible to put a Starbucks on this lot. So the things that control those type of conditions, you know, traffic and things like that, are controlled, you know, through zoning, but also through the shape and size of lots. So, you know, as you kind of think about this, you know, there are just practically, and whatever, you know, would be able to be approved as far as parking and queuing and all those things, that all is dictated by the size and shape of lots as well. So, you know, just some context of how, you know, you could say, well, I'm going to create a lot that, you know, meets the requirements, and I'm going to put a Starbucks there, but we know what Starbucks requires, and, you know, I do not see how that would happen, you know, at this location. But that was just some information I thought I would share. So.
Anyone else while the applicant is still?
Do they have to come back here or come back to you for whatever they're going to place? Or could
So,
we make that a condition?
If it is a by right use, it would be by right. So, you know, they would have a lot of record, which that's, you know, today it's the subdivision. So whatever is allowed by right in that zoning district would be allowed. If they wanted to do something that was not allowed by right, then they would have to come back. So.
Thank you.
Okay. What say you? Are we going to go ahead and hear the
Yeah, we can hear from the
opposition?
but I'll just say I would agree with you as the applicant that this lot is oddly shaped, pretty small for a user. It's really going to be, whatever goes there, has to be very market-based, and you've got utility easements that go over it that have to be moved. It's a complicated.
There's only a few things that you don't want it.
So I somewhat agree with you that you have a lot of constraints.
Yes.
Or what you potentially do with the site. So let's hear from the opposition.
I would say that, you know, we don't have any connections to the streets on there because in the original subdivision, one of the conditions was that there could not be a connection to Shelby Drive.
Right.
And it's just too close to the intersection on 3rd Street to put a drive there.
Yeah, you're probably going to use your existing Save-A-Lot curb cuts to access the lot. You probably won't have another.
And drive out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we are ready to hear from the opposition if we don't have any other questions of the applicants. Okay, you have 10 minutes amongst you.
Good morning.
Give us your name and address.
My name is Jakaya Shaw, 235 West Shelby Drive Street, Memphis, Tennessee, 38109. This letter is written in opposition to building an oil changer facility in the Save-A-Lot supermarket parking lot. Case number is 2025-10. This project is presented appears to be a threat to the health, safety, and the well-being of our community. We have three main reasons for supporting this land subdivision. For not supporting this land subdivision. First, the property at 4696 South 3rd Street is located in the wellhead protection area of an overlay district. A toxic chemical type business provides a significant risk for groundwater contamination or pollution of our drinking water. Secondly, safety concerns with an increase of traffic at a very busy accident-prone intersection. And finally, the property is owned by ECFA LLC, a commercial property management company and not a food company. With the recent Save-A-Lot disclosure in Memphis, this appears to be a threat to the visibility and the future of our grocery store at this location. We are in a food desert, and our community cannot afford to lose a supermarket in our area. Our neighborhood was poorly attended due to misinformation, and the meeting was not held in our neighborhood. However, concerns of citizens and residents as well as business owners signed 1 to 2 petitions within 750 feet within our project and beyond, consistent an overview of 300 signatures to show solitary and to support our opposition to this project. Unfortunately, it provides no economic investment in our environment or benefit to our community, respectfully. And I just honestly feel like creating an oil changing facility, you have to think about it. You're saying add a Starbucks, right? If you add a Starbucks, it's gonna increase traffic just as well as an oil changing facility, because we all go get our oil changes. We have to wait in line, wait to get your oil change wherever you go get your oil change. So that increases traffic as well as creating restaurants. A supermarket, it's traffic there, but you're getting in, you're getting out, and plus it's convenient for the residents in that area. So they can be able to go in, shop for their items, and be able to, get their essential needs in their neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. We'll address questions from the board as soon as the other lady makes her presentation.
I'm Dr. Lynette Williams, and I am the Executive Director of the Acalina Lakeview Gardens CDC that's in our area, and this is in our area. And she just read the letter that we submitted in opposition, and we didn't understand how it could get on the consent agenda when we have opposition. We did submit this letter in time in addition to 2 petitions that had over 300 signatures. We were concerned because a lot of people in the neighborhood were not informed about this particular project. According to what the Renaissance Group sent out, over 51% of the letters that were sent, they had the incorrect address for the meeting, and we didn't have anybody really attend the meeting at Whitehaven Library, which is out of our neighborhood. And so regardless of that, we got a lot of misinformation about this project because it was submitted on the application as an oil change facility. Now, Mr. Woolridge did bring up in the meeting that there were 3 options for the property. However, he did not produce any of the other options as far as the fueling station, which cannot be built because of it being in the wellhead overlay district, as well as the oil change facility, which can cause contamination to the air as well. We are not in favor of this because they submitted an application for an oil change facility in the parking lot of a grocery store, which would limit the parking for the shoppers as well as increase the traffic, which would not be conducive for our area. We already have 20,000 vehicles in that intersection, in that area, and both of those are state streets. And we have 2 daycares within 750 feet, and we don't want the additional traffic in that area. We also have 2 gas stations, and on the application, there was the incorrect telephone number put with the applicant. The applicant, I talked to the applicant who is in Houston, Texas, and they said they are a property management company. They are not in the food business. So we feel that there is a threat to the grocery store because in 2023, Save-A-Lot said they were going to get out of the retail business and get rid of all of their retail stores. And so there has been a change of ownership twice. The last one was in the food industry, and this particular company is not in the food industry. So they're having corporate manage it, but we don't know for how long. They have not indicated whether or not we will actually have the grocery store, and we are in a food desert, and we can't afford to lose the grocery store that we have, and we appreciate the upgrades with the new management. However, we think that this would be build in this area would interfere with the regular routine customer shopping, and then we might lose the grocery store. So it's a very real threat to our community as far as that is concerned. And so as a result, we do not want them to basically build anything or have an empty lot and say almost like an open check and say, okay, well, we'll put whatever we want. Now in the meeting, there were some people that were amenable to a possible some kind of food service. We suggested other alternatives, maybe an EV station for electrical vehicles, as far as a food, say outdoor fresh food market or something like that that's compatible, but we did not find any other grocery stores in the city that has an oil changing place in the parking lot. And so we really don't want this kind of business because we're in the most toxic area of the city right now in 38109. We have 45,000 households, and we need a lot of infrastructure and some other things, and we don't not need any more toxic types of businesses in our neighborhood that provide no economic benefit and they pose safety issues as far as traffic and other things in our neighborhood. And so we would appreciate that you reject this at this point because we have no evidence because of the application that they are going to build, anything that would be advantageous to our community. And so we would appreciate the fact that the next time, or if there is a next time, that if there's opposition to a project, that it not go on the consent agenda, because we were prepared to, come in opposition. And so we would, we'd appreciate that you reject this because we do not know exactly what they're going to put there. And so we would like to know, and we'd like to be informed, and we would also like to suggest that since over 51% of the people that were informed were property owners, as opposed to people who actually live in the area, we would like to suggest that maybe you send 2 copies, 2 letters, 1 letter to the actual property and 1 letter to the property owners, so we could properly be informed and we can attend the meeting and make our, concerns known. And we would also like to include documentation of the opposition in your report. We have been talking to Mr. Travion Smith, and we were under the impression that this might be approved with conditions, and we would like to make sure that there's no oil change facility or gas station put in this location. Thank you.
Okay, let me address, before I ask questions of the board, let me address your concern about it not being on the consent agenda. First of all, we were all aware that number 9 could possibly be heard and withdrawn. However, at the time that we started this meeting and at the time that we made up the consent agenda, you were not here. And so even though we knew that it was possible opposition, if the opposition wasn't here at the time that we made up the consent agenda, we had to go ahead and put it on the consent agenda. So that's why it wasn't on the, that's why it was on the consent agenda, because at the beginning, when we usually pull the cases, we didn't have, is that correct? Yeah, yeah. So anyway, you're here, we're hearing it, and do we have any questions from the board members?
I did. You mentioned at one point that you saw the application and you called someone in Houston.
Right.
Did you call the applicant or did you call it, because the phone number was wrong?
Yeah, the applicant, I called the applicant, Mr. David Dale.
Okay.
He's in
Is that
Houston.
Mr. Dale?
No, this is Renaissance. These are the architects. Okay. And he said he was not going to be at the meeting. And so they're representing him, and they're just trying to separate the land from the project. And they submitted an application for the project. And so and the telephone number that they have by Mr. Dale's number is for Mr. Khalil Ahmed, who owns 7 gas stations and at least 4 oil change places here in Memphis. And so that's the reason why we're concerned, and we're not sure exactly what they really want to put there. And so they're trying to say, okay, we just want to separate the lot, but they have no intention of, putting anything that would, be of value to the community there.
Okay, any other questions of the opposition before we hear back from the applicant? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. We will hear from the applicant in rebuttal, and you have quite a few minutes left.
Okay, thank you. On all the concepts we've done, all the parking, all the queuing spaces, loading spaces, and everything are on Lot 3. So we're not taking any parking or anything away from the existing Save-A-Lot. We're just using the driveway and the drive aisle for Save-A-Lot to get access to Lot 3. So I wanted to just put that out there. They make it sound like we're going to be infringing and Save-A-Lot. We are not. As far as the Save-A-Lots or the owner's intentions for Save-A-Lot, we don't know what those are, and it's completely separated from this. We did have, on the neighborhood meeting, we did have a mix-up on addresses. We had our original venue cancel on us right before, and we had to kind of scrimp and move and shake to get something else. We did that through a telephone conversation with the Whitehaven Library. Once we went to get the address, our intern went online and ultimately he got the address for the Whitehaven Community Center. So that was our mistake, was unintentional. We didn't really know about it until Dr. Walker brought it up the day before. We did have, during our neighborhood meeting, several people show up, and as we understand it, we had some show up at the community center. So we can assume that they were there in opposition. So if there's any more questions.
You have any questions of the applicant further? No questions? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to close the public portion of our meeting. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get a motion and vote.
Motion to approve item number 9, S 20-25010 Westwood 3-lot commercial major re-subdivision located at 4696 South 3rd.
We have a second. Is there any discussion amongst our board members? Pro or con, any discussion?
Yes, I really hate that we're voting this today. I didn't think we would be dealing with it, and I want to give it its due diligence, and I have grave concerns. I'm listening to the neighborhood, and while I know the applicant has nothing to do with the Save-A-Lot, if it goes away, I'm just thinking of the future. You know, this could be a detriment to that area. With what we allow, what we're voting today, it's unlimited. I'm afraid of what would be there. And we don't need anything negative in these communities anymore. That's not uplifting them. As she says, a food desert. So I would hope another grocer would come in, food chain would come in, but that's highly unlikely. I'm disturbed by this one.
Well, it's such a small lot, they can't do any, I mean, you can't get anything close to, I mean, the user would have to be so small. Not only that, they can't get a curb cut. There's almost no marketability for this lot.
Yeah, but when we approve this, things could come there that, and I've seen this, if you don't live in these communities, it's hard, but we don't see it.
Right. It still has to follow the zoning that's
Well,
currently on the lot.
yes, and there is one point that I should make as well. Well, one thing I wanted to mention that I think it would be, I don't know that engineering would approve a curb cut on Shelby Drive, but I think if if y'all want to consider adding that as a condition, that no curb cuts would be off Shelby Drive, I think just to be clear on that, we could do that. The other point is, technically, I mean, they can do whatever use is allowed by right without this subdivision. So, you know, the subdivision is a way for them to maybe sell that lot, but all the uses and things that we're talking about, they could do that right now with no entitlement or no subdivision. So that's just a point that
But I don't want to make it easier for them to do it. I hear that. Yeah, these are communities, and people took their time to come down here, and I'm sensitive to that. And I believe that long-term, this is going to have a negative effect on this community.
I'm going to agree with that. I think that we don't know and maybe by creating 3 lots for this, entire piece of property, it becomes a better selling point, and maybe they'll turn around and sell this lot to, whomever for whatever. And I don't feel good about it. I don't think we have enough information, and I don't think that we can say that it won't have a negative effect. I don't think we have that information, so I will not be supporting it.
In agreement.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote individually. We do have a motion.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connell? Mr. Winter?
Yes.
Ms. Wilbanks? Yes. Mr. Thomas?
No.
Mr. Norman?
No.
Chair Sharp?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. 4 yes, 3 no's, motion carries.